Have you ever finished watching something and immediately thought, I just need someone to talk to about this? That's why we're here. I'm Mia.
And I'm Jerry. We realized something recently. We spend hours watching incredible documentaries, TV series, movies, and books, and then we have nowhere to put all of the thoughts afterwards. Our partners either haven't watched the shows, or they definitely don't want a 40-minute conversation about why one fictional breakup perfectly captured emotional safety, or how a documentary may have completely changed the way we think about human behavior. So we decided to have those conversations here instead.
This isn't a celebrity gossip podcast. We're not recapping every episode of the latest reality show. And just so we're clear, there will be absolutely no maths. We're much more interested in what stories reveal about people.
Why certain characters stay with us, why healthy relationships on screen suddenly feel revolutionary, why documentaries make us question ourselves, and why a TV show can completely change the conversation around sex and parenting, friendship, or even masculinity.
We'll probably wander into philosophy,
Definitely feminism,
human behavior,
and culture.
the occasional marketing tangent, and a lot of, wait, did you notice that too?
So welcome to Chemistry Read. The credits might have rolled, but the conversation is just getting started. And we're back.
We're back.
We were so love drunk off campus, we needed our next hit. Heated Rivalry just made sense with the hockey romance, female author, so we promptly subscribed to HBO Max, and here we are.
Oh my God, another streaming service, Jerry. Another
I know.
one.
I know I've only got a 1 month trial, and I binged it all in that 1 month trial. So the next show can't be on HBO.
Yeah, I know, but like, what else is on HBO Max that I could be watching?
I know. Well, and now it's for research, right? Everything.
It is for research. Well, I have to say this has quickly become my favorite thing to do in the week. So I'm happy we're here.
Great, me too. And hopefully others are happy to join us. So here we are, two straight women talking about gay sex. How do you feel about that?
It was so hot.
So hot.
I didn't expect it to be so hot.
Yeah. My husband would walk by every now and again when I was watching this show and just look at me and shake his head and be like, what are you watching? And I'm like, for the first couple of episodes, I was very aware that I was watching gay sex because I just have not personally been exposed to a lot of that. So it stood out. And then after the first kind of 3 or so episodes, it kind of stopped being a thing. And it was just beautiful sex between beautiful humans. And it stopped being kind of so noticeable. What about you?
Yeah, exactly that. From the minute they started canoodling, I was into it. I was right into it. Yeah. I will say, though, that they were quite masculine characters,
They were.
as hockey players. So it was just two really gorgeous dudes, and I'm good with that.
We've been busy growing the most beautiful community inside the lab. That's our podcast community Facebook group. And if you want to join, the link is in the show notes. And in there, we have some real deep conversations about the shows, both the ones that we've published as well as future episodes that we're going to record. And having that community has made research so much easier. And when I was talking to a few women about this show, two in particular, I knew we just had to get their ideas in the podcast because both had watched the season 7 times. Start to finish, the whole thing 7 times. That is the kind of commitment we're after here at Chemistry Read. So I thought our listeners could have a bit of time listening to Kate and Nat about what they loved so much about Heated Rivalry.
I feel like it was the portrayal of vulnerability on the screen. It was just so beautiful. I mean, as a 40-year-old woman with 3 kids, it made me so nostalgic for my youth. It didn't matter like if the love was gay or straight. It was genuinely just such a beautiful thing to watch. And I think that really stuck with me.
It's had such a massive impact on many middle-aged women, irrespective of whether you're gay or straight. It really doesn't matter. It's a story of passion and desire and love and tenderness and coming of age. And it's portrayed really beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely. So we loved it for the hot romance and we loved it for the friendships.
Yeah. So many beautiful friendships in Heated Rivalry. I loved Off Campus more, I will say.
Right.
But
Yes.
I loved Heated Rivalry as well because it wasn't just about hot gay sex. There was lots of layers to this show.
Yeah, it was more complex and had a lot more at stake, I think, than off campus. So it felt a little bit more adult, where off campus was a bit of just like joy watching and less of the hard bits, I think. Did it absolutely blow your mind when you found out that Connor Story, who plays Ilya, was not Russian?
Yes. And also same deal with like Belmont Cameli and Garrett Graham. I don't want to see any interviews with Connor Story. He is Ilya. He needs to be Ilya. He needs to have the Russian accent. I have bought into that character. Connor Story is very young, and it makes me question all the feelings that I've been feeling.
I didn't look up his age. I did with Garrett Graham. I looked up Belmont. I looked up his age. I didn't look up Ilya's age. Maybe I was just trying to fool myself.
Yeah. He looks very, very, very young.
He does.
So those characters just need to be preserved in amber for me.
Yeah. Okay. And the show, I think people love it. I haven't really read a lot of criticism from the show. I know lots of millennial women, straight women like us, who have watched it and loved it. But I think the show really wanted to make some strong stances around what is normal and what should be expected and what people need to know, because the actual actor's sexuality has never been confirmed. Like, should we care? Do we care? Should we get to know? What do you think?
I don't care. I don't want to know. I believe that actors should be given privacy. Like, I'm seeing what's happened to Jacob Elordi since Wuthering Heights, and the poor guy can't catch a break. Like, I don't care if you play a really convincing character like Connor Story did. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's the delivery of it. What you do, and who you do it with is really up to you. But that's just me, I guess.
I don't think we have the right to know. And I kind of do love that they aren't willing to confirm or deny. I think the acting was incredible. And I believe them both as Ilya, a bisexual man, and Shane as a gay man, and finding his way through that. I thought the acting was superb.
So like Jonathan Brayley, who plays Anthony in Bridgerton, is an openly gay actor, Jonathan Brayley. But in Bridgerton, he plays straight Lord Bridgerton. It works for me. I got no problems.
My suspension of disbelief, not a problem.
Absolutely, yeah. There's this decades-old myth that Tom Cruise is gay and won't come out because then he wouldn't get roles like Mission Impossible and Top Gun. And I'm like, maybe in 1989, but in 2026, I think audiences can accept that you can be both a Top Gun and be homosexual. And that can turn us on regardless,
Yes, absolutely. Talking about Top Gun and being turned on. Now with Off Campus, so it's hard not to draw so many direct comparisons, both, really emotional relationships, romance, hockey. But can we talk a bit more about how Heated Rivalry was, for me, harder to watch, as in terms of more effort? It wasn't that I still binged it. I probably watched 2 episodes at a time, but I haven't gone straight for the rewatch because it felt heavier to me and I just needed a little bit more time to sit with it.
Yeah, that's a fair call. I rewatched the last episode called The Cottage because I just loved that episode. It was so beautiful.
That's really interesting because I feel like of all the episodes, that one, I guess, had lightness to it because you felt the relief of the characters. They didn't have to hide who they were. And so it wasn't as heartbreaking as the other episodes.
Totally. But also that is my fantasy, right? The most beautiful, lakeside house, all the food being in the fridge, no visitors, no interruptions, just love making, swimming in the lake.
For 2 weeks, though, it's a long time.
It's perfect. No notes. Perfect. That is I think that the writers wrote my fantasy.
Right. See, the extrovert in me, I'd go crazy with one person for 2 weeks.
Just think about the deepness of the connection and the things that you would share, and then sitting by the fireplace and stroking each other's hair. It was perfect. It was perfect.
And it was cute when Shane said, just relax. And Ilya was like, the thought of, they never get to relax because they never get to be who they really are. And then that like heartbreak of being so rich, so successful, the best in what you do, but having to hide who you are would be so exhausting. And the thought of relaxing for Ilya just seemed, I mean, I think there was a bit of a reference to like, we won't be relaxing, mate, kind of thing. But I also just believe that he hasn't really been able to release like he does when he's with Shane and alone in that cabin for that long.
That's what I really loved about Heated Rivalry, because, you know, we have embraced homosexuality in a big way culturally, as we should. But it seems like sport, and particularly masculine sports like ice hockey, is kind of the last frontiers where it's still not really acceptable to be openly gay. Like, do whatever you want to do behind closed doors, boys, but, you know, you are role models, and there's these fans that will stop watching hockey if you come out as gay. And it was really heartbreaking that you can be literally playing in the Olympics and still need to hide who you are. Rich, successful, the top of your game. They were captains of their team. They were representing their countries. They were the flag bearers, and they still can't be who they are. That's just nuts.
And the show, I think, was challenging that. And we saw some criticism, I guess, to link it to off campus around this idea that why should a show where men actually respect women and want consent and have emotional safety be so praised? Like, surely we should lift the bar. And I really pushed back on that narrative. I'm like, men can't be what they can't see. And that same would be going for, you know, these athletes at the top of their game. They need to see these representations in their culture where the men can be who they are and still be championed, and still be accepted in the locker room, and still be, you know, crossing those kind of different areas of life and it not be shunned upon kind of thing. So I think the show challenging that Scott Hunter can get his boyfriend out on the ice and kiss him at the end of a thing. And there's no big reaction to that. He's not fired. He's not shunned. He's not, you know, ripped down for that. I think that's important in both shows.
Yeah, I loved that scene. I thought that was like, it was not the most believable moment of the show.
It wasn't believable at all.
I know, but it's TV, Jerry. It's not real life. Like, you need those big pinnacle moments, right?
But the character could not have had that type of transformation. He didn't pre-think about that. But for years, he's been hiding who he was, ended the relationship with Kip because he couldn't come out and be who he was at the risk of his career. And I'm going to finally reach my career pinnacle, win the trophy, bring you out on ice and make out with you on the ice and live TV. Like, it's just, Scott would never have done that in that moment.
Maybe, but just hear me out, all right? He's won the cup, so he's achieved his dream. He seems to be quite a bit older than Ilya and Shane. And so they didn't say, but I implied that maybe retirement was on the horizon. And so it was that moment of, well, I'm risking it all now, because what have I got to lose? I've just won the cup. If this does end my career, that's okay, because I'm going out on a high and I'm going out on my terms. And this is probably maybe the last chance for me to do it. No?
Okay. Well, I never really considered he has got nothing to lose anymore because he'd won the cup in that moment and it was such a thrill. And he was watching everyone else share the moment with someone, which I thought was well done leading up to that decision. It was sad. It was so sad.
Yeah.
Why was Kip at the game? Was he in their seats?
I think he was back in the seats, yeah. It was weird because the Kip and Scott Hunter episode was like episode 3. So we had 2 episodes of Shane and Ilya, so Hollander and Rosenoff. And then we were hit with episode 3, which actually took us back in time, which was a little bit hard to kind of process, but I actually quite liked it. And they introduced Scott and Kip. And then right at the end, when they break up, third act break up again for Scott and Kip, they kind of break up, but it kind of left it up open-ended because Kip just said, I think I'm going to go sleep at home tonight.
Right, yeah.
So we don't know if they're completely broken up or what's happened, but we know that Scott didn't come to Kip's birthday at the gay bar.
He tried.
I was so sad. Yeah.
He tried.
It's like, yeah, he stood out the front. Yeah. And then we didn't see Scott and Kip for another couple of episodes. And then, yeah, the next time we see him back in the stands, and it looks like they're in some pretty good seats.
Yeah. Those two seats that he would have. It's so funny because obviously we were texting as we're watching this show, Mia and I, and Mia was ahead of me on Heated Rivalry, and she was messaging about Kip. And then I didn't tweak early that Scott was going to be gay as well. Like they did a really good job of kind of mulling that over. And I sent me a picture of him being like, I clearly have a type because I thought Scott was the most gorgeous character and more age appropriate for me. And then when it turned out that he was actually gay in the show, whilst I was a little bit bummed for straight me, I just adored Kip's character so much that I was okay with it.
Kip and Scott were some of my favorite characters, but Kip and his dad, that just sent me. It absolutely sent me because when we think about villains, right, in stories, often it's the parent of a homosexual boy who's just not willing to accept that their son is gay.
Yeah, Phil would have been not happy.
Yeah,
from
Phil. Yeah, exactly. Right? Like they love hockey. They've got this notion of playing ball sports with their son and, drinking beers and whatever. Not that you can't do that as a homosexual man, but there's these stereotypes, right? And then we know Kip's dad, and he is perfect.
He is gorgeous.
He is the dad. Oh, he's just the dad that we all want, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the antithesis to the Phil in Off Campus, what we look for in that parent-child relationship. So it really had me wondering about Heated Rivalry, that who is the villain? Who is the bad guy that's creating this kind of drama for the characters, or a bad girl? I struggled to find that. Ilya's dad obviously was hard on him in his life, but he has this dementia, and we kind of forgive him for being a man of his era and a man suffering with dementia. So his ability to kind of change and accept Ilya for who he is isn't really there. And his brother is a clear villain in Ilya's life, but Shane doesn't have one.
His mother, sort of. A little bit, she came across as, do you want this sponsorship deal with Rolex? And do you want to go to the tennis? And it was subtle. I don't know what it was like because, again, I haven't read the books. But it seemed to me that Shane was feeling a little bit of pressure from his mother to commercialize his success as a hockey player.
Mm-hmm.
And then that probably added to his inability to come out because he would lose all these brand deals. But then I thought it was so beautiful at the end where the mother had to, step out of the house and started crying. She's like, do you forgive me for making you feel like you couldn't tell me? Which I thought was really beautiful.
Yeah. And I thought when I first met her, I thought she was going to be more problematic than she turned out to be.
Yeah.
But I think where Off Campus does have that one villain that's kind of creating the drama for characters, and society is actually very accepting and open. I think in Heated Rivalry, the villain or the tension comes from the fact that as a society, we still aren't making a safe place for these people to be who they want to be. There is no emotional safety, but there's no one person to pin that on. It's actually on all of us and the role that we play in not creating a space where these people feel like they can be safe to be who they are, is kind of what I came to.
That's a really good point. Yeah. I think that's so true. Yeah.
Should we talk about the emotional safety aspect? Because I think that's a big delineating factor between Off Campus and Heated Rivalry.
Yeah, absolutely. Female authors writing, it's not tween, it's not teen, it's young adult romances, really, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, young adult.
Yeah, young adult. They're definitely like in their mid-20s.
Yeah. And just really positive role modeling of so many beautiful things like consent and open communication and respecting each other's boundaries and non-toxic behaviors like
Yeah.
jealousy and controlling. And like, even though Ilya and Shane, they do have some sort of avoidant complexities to their relationship, when it actually comes to the sex, Ilya's like, are you sure you're ready for this? Do you want this? Let's start here. It's not brute force, So
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that
Absolutely.
there's still a lot of emotional safety and consent when it comes to the actual coitus.
Yes. Okay, with that Pit, I would agree. No one's doing anything they don't want to do, like under duress, and that includes Ilya and Svetlana, because they do have sex in the show.
Yeah.
But Ilya is a bisexual character, and that sex, I think, is really about their love for each other, and they're both attractive, and you're my best friend. And this is just, as with both shows, I think they challenge this concept of like, it's only okay to have sex with one person who you deeply love and you're in a committed relationship with. Otherwise, you're a bit slutty. I think that the shows really challenge that.
Yeah.
And the characters may have lacked emotional safety, which is what made it heartbreaking for us. It took years for Shane to finally kind of even be honest with himself. And where, like, I think with Off Campus, Hannah tells Garrett, like, in a matter of days about the sexual assault, like the relationship, the safety kind of comes really quickly. But I still believe that as an oversharer. Like, I do that. But again, I think it was safer for her to talk about that than it was for Shane to kind of admit what was going on. But then we have these women in Ilya's life and Shane's life who create emotional safety or safe place for them to land.
Oh my God, the women. They are, how straight women like you and I, we joke that like, oh, we would love a gay best friend because they would help us to be more confident and be more proud of, who we are and all of that. And it was like a role reversal for me, where you had these straight women literally holding their guy. Like they were holding their men. Elena is Kip's best friend who went to the fundraiser with him. Maria is his co-worker, and she calls him bitch, I think. Is it bitch or doll?
I can't
or
remember.
Girl?
Okay.
Rose was Shane's girlfriend, and she picked up.
Yeah, Rose. I thought she was great. I mean, she took it like a champ. I feel like because they really revved up that romance as being quite intense and quite in love, and they were quite serious. And then she kind of just like, she kind of sees it for what it is, and then she's not hurt and she's not offended. She's just sad for him.
And then Svetlana, who you mentioned, being Ilya's friend, I absolutely loved the scene where Svetlana says to Ilya, I know you love me, but you don't love me as much as Jane. He doesn't know how lucky he is. And it's like, these women know. They know everything. They know everything that's been going on, but they're not imposing their own timeline on them. I mean, Elena does a little bit at the fundraiser by talking to Scott Hunter and saying, hey, just so you know, Kip is miserable and he deserves to be sunshine and you also deserve sunshine. And so like, I feel like Elena has like overstepped in that particular mark, but like Rose and Svetlana, they are just like, hey, we are here for you on your timeline.
Sorry, what do you mean by overstepped? Why do you think she overstepped?
Because I don't know if it was her place to tell Scott Hunter that basically he should leave Kip.
I mean, I think you being a girlfriend of mine, if you had some toxic relationship or something that I felt wasn't good enough for you, that I would feel the need to do that. I feel like in a lot of ways it helped Scott accept, and it didn't, like Kip didn't know that conversation went down, right? So I think she was really saying like, I've got your back here, like proving that friendship to him. But then in the end, it was actually Kip's decision to walk away. Scott wasn't the one that walked away.
Oh yeah, I've got things mixed up. Yeah, I guess I would want you to tell me, Mia, this is a
Right.
toxic relationship. You
Yeah.
need to walk away. But going and confronting my partner for me just feels like you're taking the agency away from me. But you're right. Kip was the one that actually, and do you know what was so beautiful? Oh my God. It was actually his dad, I thought, that was the reason Kip walked away, because
Oh.
he said, I have people I love too, and I can't tell them what's been going on in my life. And he had been avoiding his dad. His dad was trying to call him and he was not calling his dad. And he'd obviously lost his mum because there was no mum. And I reckon in Kip's mind, he's thinking, this is my dad. I've lost my mum. And now I am like, impacting this relationship with my dad in order to have this relationship with Scott. And he's actually chosen his dad over Scott. And I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way. That's very true. The dad was just so sweet and doting and just that safe place for him to fall, which Scott didn't have, right? Because he doesn't have parents, which I, again, wasn't quite sure, like the Logan storyline with the jealousy of Hannah, the storyline of Scott being an orphan. I didn't see where that fit in the narrative of the show and why it was included.
Well, because he didn't have anyone else on the ice with him, no family to greet him after winning the cup.
Yeah.
And so him living in the shadows really meant he was alone. There was nobody else. Yeah.
Yeah. And because I thought the moments with the other people on the ice were more romantic partners, but maybe I have to go back and rewatch it because I've only watched it the once, but whether there was just that like kind of family support. And then like obviously every player gets 2 seats for the whole season in the rink, and that Kip is sitting in his, I think is symbolic that is the family that Scott's choosing to have that moment. But I just didn't know, because like him being an orphan and leading that fundraiser, and it wasn't a huge subplot, but it was kind of significant enough that I wasn't feeling like it necessarily sat so well. But I think in a lot of ways, I'm also fishing for something bad about the show to talk about, or something that I didn't like, because I did feel like it was almost artistic in how it was shot and presented, and the acting. Like Off Campus was very mainstream. Heated Rivalry felt very much like watching art on TV.
And I think that because of the plot device of like 2 homosexual men and the fact that it is streaming on HBO Max, that it probably didn't get the same audience numbers that Off Campus would have got. But to me, it is no lesser show by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and you can actually stream HBO through Amazon Prime. So if you're on Amazon Prime watching Off Campus, it's only a click away, guys.
And more money, and just more money.
Just commit though. It's like 8 episodes?
8 episodes, yeah. I just had a thought. So I know that you were saying that big moment with Kip and Scott on the ice was like just seemed fantastical, right?
Yeah.
Well, it needed to happen because that's when Rosenoff called Shane to say, I'm coming to the cottage.
Yeah, that was his bravery.
Yes. It was this ripple effect
a plot
that
device.
Needed to happen. It was a plot device. And then when they're talking to Shane's parents and they're telling them that he's gay, like he's coming out to his parents, and Rosenoff's there, the mum asks Ilya and Shane, has anyone spoken to Scott Hunter? And Ilya said, I have. What he did, it changed something for me.
Yeah. See? Oh, I forgot about that line. Oh, you just gave me chills remembering it. Yeah.
It needed to happen.
It needed to happen. Okay, I take it back, Mia. I now agree. I agree with you. So any other like things that you're dying to talk about with Heated Rivalry?
Maybe it's just me who was curious about this, but it seems like when it comes to 2 men having sex, there is a top and there is a bottom.
Or a peg and a hole, as Rose.
And a hole.
That's it.
And I was very curious about how early on that is established. Like, do you just know when you go to the bar and you're flirting with someone whether they are, because you don't want to bring the guy home and discover you're both pegs.
Right. Yeah.
And
Oh.
So
Are we allowed
Jen,
to talk about this? Am I blushing?
We are. We're
Here
both
we are.
blushing.
Yes.
We don't need the makeup artist from off camera.
No, exactly.
We're good.
It's interesting because I think the show obviously wants to be successful. It wants to be mainstream. That's why you would create such a show. And I think it absolutely can be. But I think that we have to be allowed to be curious, right? Like, as straight people, we don't necessarily know the expectations or the ebbs and flows. Like, and I mean, that can be said for straight relationships too, because there is going to be differences. And I think maybe that's also the case. I think some people identify as a type of sexual preference, whether it be top or bottom. Some people are a bit more fluid in whether they are happy to be top or bottom. I don't think that there's like one way, but I do think it is something potentially that would need to be talked about and discussed kind of earlier on in a relationship.
Big time. Absolutely. It's like, same with heterosexual relationships. Like, there are some people that love the backdoor action, and there are some people that's like, it's a no-go. Like, we are not doing that. And that's a no. That's a no for me. So yeah, I did research this because I was curious, and you're exactly right. Not every gay man identifies as either top or bottom. They're versatile. It can also change depending on the partner, actually.
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting. It's not as fixed as I would have believed. And yeah, it is actually something that does need to be discussed pretty early on. If someone is fixed or has a strong preference with that partner, that is established, before they get home.
And Shane establishes this for himself. We see him finally getting to explore what his sexual preferences are. And he says that to Rose in a very tongue-in-cheek way with their beautiful relationships, about that he is more of a hole than a peg. Yeah. And I love that moment for him, that kind of sexual awakening, I suppose, for his character, which you could very much tell he was just getting his feet in how to navigate those types of things with a partner. But yes, I would really be interested, Mia, in seeing what your browser history looks like when you were doing research for this part of the podcast. Yep. So, all in all, I think we agree we love both for different reasons. I'm not going to put one above the other. They're both fantastic in different ways. But then we finished Heated Rivalry and we felt like, now what do we do? There wasn't a third hockey romance show to move on to. So where were you inspired? What tickled your fancy?
All right. Well, we're going to shift gears next episode, and we're going to talk about cults.
Oh,
so
yes. This is something that I'm harassing people to go watch.
Totally. It's time. It's time to talk about the cults documentaries. So your homework, dear listener, is to go and watch any cult documentary across the streaming platforms. We've got some options. Trust Me, The False Prophet, Devotion, Obedience or Betrayal.
Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, and Wild Wild Country.
Great. That was great.
Mia does have a hyperfixation for cults, guys.
I do have a hyperfixation for cults. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. That's a wrap on Chemistry Read.
So we launched this podcast because we want to build a community of like-minded people who just love to talk about good books, TV, and movies. But it really doesn't work, guys, if it's just me and I chatting into the void. So to launch our podcast, we have organized an amazing giveaway in our Facebook group. I want you to jump in there, read those details, and you can win the most luxury at-home binge night self-care pack. So jump into our Facebook group, check it out, join the competition. Can't wait to see it in there.